Kia ora team, welcome. I'm Reuben from Link Academy, and in this session we're going to be taking an overview of your accounts payable inside Xero. At the end of this session, you're going to be able to find all the information you need to find regarding your accounts payable. So to get started with our accounts payable overview, when you log into your dashboard, you instantly get a view of what your current accounts payable situation is. So under bills you need to pay, you'll find this is the single quickest way you can create a new, if you've received a new supplier invoice, you can enter it into your Xero by clicking new bill here. That'll take you to our accounts payable screen where in a later session I'll take you through all the different bits of information we can enter in here. What it also shows you is a breakdown of the draft. If we just head back to our dashboard now, a breakdown of all the draft supplier invoices we have, so the ones we've entered in but yet to approve, all the ones that are awaiting payment, so approved, that are lined up for payment, and any that are overdue as well. So like a lot of areas of Xero, if you click into these numbers here, that'll take you to the underlying transactions that make up that figure. So back to the dashboard. This is accompanied by a pretty handy visual representation that'll let you plan into the future the amount of supplier invoices that you're expecting to have to pay. So that's pretty cool. So this is the dashboard information, but the single best place you can go for an overview of your accounts payable is under Accounts and Purchases. So this will capture all purchases, so any direct costs like your product purchases or anything directly related to what you sell, but also all those overheads, your rent, your expenses, stationery, advertising, all those sort of things. So everything that comes on a supplier invoice is going to be coming through here. This won't include areas that are, say, direct credited or direct debited from your account. They're like bank fees, etc. They're not going to come through this purchases section because we don't need to arrange for payment for those. So this is purely those invoices that we get sent from our suppliers, our various suppliers. One of the great things about Xero is that it's quite intuitive and it follows a logical sequence from top to bottom and left to right. So from left to right, our bills are going to be traveling through these four buckets. As we type them in, they're going to be drafted, and if we need to come back to them, that's where they're going to sit. Now, depending on our permission, if we only have drafting permission, then that's where they'll stop, and we'll move them into this awaiting approval phase, whereby another person, perhaps a manager, will come in, log in, and approve those accounts payable so that they can sit in awaiting payment. Now, if you are an administrator or you have that permission, you'll be able to jump straight from draft through to awaiting payment. Once they're in awaiting payment, these are all the invoices that we have coming up, lined up, approved, ready to pay. So what we're going to do is take this list here, and we're going to bundle all those up into a batch and import that into our bank, online banking, to pay all the suppliers that we've approved. Any that aren't included in that, they're going to sit in overdue, and they're going to move out of awaiting payment into overdue once they're reach the due date that's set on the supplier invoice. So if the supplier says, I'd like payment on the 7th, then and it's the 8th, then this is where you're going to find their invoice. Excellent. Now there is a visual representation of this, so any upcoming invoices you have are going to be shown inside this graph here going forward. So this is the single best place you can view all of your accounts payable. Now you can drill into each of these, so awaiting payment is a real good example, but another way you could do that would be to click See All. So that's a real common one there, See All. Excellent. And inside here you have the exact same information with all the different tabs, the buckets there. This is also where we can view repeating invoices, so any recurring accounts payable that keep coming up, like our rent. This is exactly where you'd find that. So we're going to cover that in a separate session. One of the last things you're going to need to do inside this section, aside from creating a new bill, which we'll cover separately, is search. So inside this we might search for a particular supplier or a particular date range, for example, and it'll just filter down that list that we have. So whether it's all invoices, so past invoices and current invoices, or just within a certain date range, for example. So that's one of the great search functions. If you know exactly the invoice number you're after, as always, you can always come up to this magnifying glass up here and type that in, and that should come up for you. Fantastic. So that was an overview of your accounts payable functions within your Xero. As you can see, things follow a logical sequence from left to right as we draft up, type in our supplier invoices, and process those through to payment. Hopefully now you have a much better idea about how to get around your accounts payable.